Right now, in this exact moment, while you are sitting here watching this video, your body is making a decision, a quiet, invisible, biological decision that will determine whether the next few hours of your life are spent burning stored fat or clinging to sugar. And most people have absolutely no idea this decision is even happening. They just live with the consequences without ever understanding the cause, the fatigue, the brain fog, the stubborn weight that never seems to move, no matter what they try, the energy crashes that hit like a wall in the middle of the afternoon. But here is what changes everything. Here is the piece of information that most people will go their entire lives without discovering. A 30-minute walk during your fast does not just gently nudge your body in the right direction. It detonates a metabolic bomb, a biological chain reaction so powerful, so well documented by modern science, that once you understand what is actually happening inside your body when you combine fasting with walking, you will never look at a morning stroll the same way again. A 2024 study from Stanford's Longevity Institute found that people who walked during their fast experienced 3 times the fat oxidation compared to those who simply sat and fasted 3 times. Same fast, completely different outcome, just because of a 30-minute walk. But the study revealed something even more interesting beneath that headline number. Something that explains a question that almost everyone who has ever tried fasting has asked themselves at some point. Why do some people fast for 16 hours and feel absolutely electric, sharp, energized, clear-headed, almost superhuman, while others hit hour 12 and feel like they have been deflated from the inside, heavy, foggy, irritable, desperate for food? The answer is not how long you fast. It is not your genetics. It is not your age or your metabolism or any of the other excuses that get thrown around in wellness conversations. The answer is devastatingly simple. It is what you do inside that fasting window. And if you are not walking for 30 minutes during your fast, you are leaving the single most powerful metabolic weapon your body possesses sitting completely unused on the table. Today, I am going to take you through exactly what happens inside your body at the cellular level, at the hormonal level, at the neurological level when you combine fasting with walking. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand why this simple, free, equipment-free habit is the closest thing science has ever found to a genuine biological cheat code. No supplements, no expensive programs, no complicated protocols. Just you, an empty stomach, and 30 minutes of walking. Let us start from the beginning, because to understand why fasted walking is so extraordinary, you first need to understand what your body is doing during a fast and why most people never get the full benefit. When you eat, your body breaks that food down into glucose. Think of glucose as your body's preferred currency. It is quick, it is easy to use, and your cells are set up to run on it efficiently. Your pancreas releases insulin to shuttle that glucose into your cells, and whatever does not get used immediately gets stored. Some of it goes into your muscles, some goes into your liver. It is stored as glycogen, essentially a compressed form of sugar that your body can access quickly when it needs energy. Your muscles and liver together can hold roughly 2,000 calories worth of glycogen. Think of it like a backup battery pack. Useful, accessible, but limited in capacity. Here is where the magic begins. Once that backup battery runs low, which typically happens somewhere between 12 and 16 hours after your last meal, your body reaches a fork in the road. It can no longer sustain itself on circulating glucose or stored glycogen. It has to find another source of fuel. And this is the moment scientists call the metabolic switch. When the metabolic switch flips, your body stops burning sugar and starts burning you, specifically your fat stores. Those reserves you have been carrying around that feel impossible to access no matter how many hours you spend at the gym. The metabolic switch is the gateway to that vault. And fasting is what opens it. But here is the problem, and this is the part that the 2023 study published in Cell Metabolism revealed that changes the entire Conversation around fasting. Most people never fully flip this switch. Not completely. They hover in a kind of metabolic no man's land, not burning glucose efficiently because it is running low, not burning fat effectively because the switch has not fully engaged. They just exist in this tired, foggy, frustrated, in-between state, wondering why fasting is not delivering the results they were promised. And this is where walking changes absolutely everything. When you walk for 30 minutes during your fast, you do not just nudge the metabolic switch. You throw it with full force. You supercharge the transition. You take what would have been a slow, incomplete, halfway metabolic shift and turn it into a complete, decisive, total conversion to fat burning that changes the biochemical environment of your body for hours afterward. The mechanism behind this is a molecule called AMPK, adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. I know that is a mouthful, so think of it this way. AMPK is the master conductor of your entire metabolic orchestra. It is the signal your body sends when energy is running low and it needs to find more fuel from somewhere. When AMPK activates, it does not just do one thing. It sets off a cascade of responses throughout your body. It tells your cells to start breaking down stored fat. It triggers the creation of new mitochondria. It optimizes every pathway of energy production your body has available. It is essentially the alarm system that wakes up your fat-burning machinery and tells it to get to work. Fasting activates AMPK. That is established science. Exercise also activates AMPK. That is also established science. But when you combine them, when you fast and then walk. A groundbreaking 2025 study from the University of Copenhagen measured what happens and the results were extraordinary. Fasted walkers showed AMPK activation that was 4.7 times higher than people who fasted without moving. Not 47% higher, 4.7 times higher. That is the difference between gently turning up a flame and blasting a furnace into full operation. And what does that level of AMPK activation do to your body? It transforms it completely and measurably. Your fat cells, which have been locked behind the barrier of circulating insulin and glycogen availability, suddenly open. The fuel you have been carrying around for months, maybe years, suddenly becomes accessible in a way it simply was not before. Your body stops treating fat like a vault with a combination lock and starts treating it like an open fuel line directly connected to your energy systems. But AMPK does something beyond just burning fat. Something that might be even more significant for your long-term health and energy. It triggers mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of brand new mitochondria inside your cells. Now, why does that matter so profoundly? Because your mitochondria are not just where energy gets produced, they are the fundamental determinant of how much energy your body can generate, how efficiently your metabolism operates, and how well every single organ in your body functions. More mitochondria means more energy production capacity, more fat burning, more endurance, more cognitive power, more of everything that makes you feel alive and capable. Elite endurance athletes have been measured to have up to 40% more mitochondria than sedentary individuals. That is not just genetics. That is adaptation. That is the result of repeatedly signaling your body through the exact conditions, fasting and movement together, that you are forcing it to build more capacity. And fasted walking builds that same advantage. Session by session, week by week, your body is becoming a more powerful, more efficient biological machine because you gave it the conditions it needed to upgrade itself. This is why people who commit to fasted walking consistently report feeling superhuman after just 2 weeks. It is not placebo. It is not motivation. It is measurable, structural, biological change happening inside their cells. Now let us talk about hormones, because this is where fasted walking transforms from a good idea into something that sounds almost too good to be true until you actually look at what the research shows. Let us start with insulin. When you eat, insulin rises. That is its job, shuttling glucose into cells. But here is the consequence most people do not think about. High insulin does not just manage blood sugar. High insulin means your body is in fat storage mode. When insulin is elevated, your fat cells are locked. Your body cannot access them efficiently. It is not a design flaw, it is a feature. When food is available, your body prioritizes using that food and storing the excess. It only reaches into fat reserves when that food supply runs dry. Fasting drops insulin. That is one of the primary reasons fasting is so effective for fat loss. But here is what the data shows about adding walking to the equation. A 2024 study from Harvard measured insulin levels in fasted walkers versus people who fasted without walking. The fasted walkers had insulin levels 62% lower than the sedentary fasters. 62%. That is not a marginal difference. That is the difference between your fat stores being partially accessible and being completely, fully open for business. That is the difference between your body slowly making progress and your body operating as the fat-burning machine it was designed to be. Lower insulin means the vault is open. Lower insulin means your body has no hormonal barrier preventing it from reaching into those fat reserves and pulling exactly what it needs to fuel your walk, your morning, and the hours that follow. Now let us talk about adrenaline, because this is a piece of the puzzle that almost nobody discusses when they talk about fasted walking. When you walk, even at a moderate, comfortable pace, your body releases a mild pulse of adrenaline. Not enough to stress you out, not enough to spike your cortisol into a damaging range. Just enough to send a very clear signal to your fat cells, a signal that activates an enzyme called hormone-sensitive lipase. And hormone-sensitive lipase does one very specific, very important job. It breaks down stored triglycerides, the form that fat is stored in, into free fatty acids that can be released into your bloodstream and burned for energy. Think of it as a demolition crew. Your fat stores are buildings. Hormone-sensitive lipase is the crew that tears those buildings down, salvages every usable material, and sends it to where it is needed. Walking during your fast sends that crew in with a full team and a clear mandate. Get to work, now. And then there is growth hormone, the hormone that, if you understood how deeply it affects every aspect of your physical health, longevity, and body composition, you would restructure your entire day around maximizing it. Growth hormone is your body's master sculptor. It preserves muscle mass while burning fat. It repairs damaged tissue. It supports the integrity of your skin, your joints, your bones. It enhances your immune function. It plays a role in mood regulation and cognitive performance, and it is one of the most powerful anti-aging signals your body produces. Synthetic growth hormone is sold at private anti-aging clinics for thousands of dollars per month, precisely because its effects are that real and that significant. Now, fasting alone, without any exercise, has been shown to increase growth hormone levels by up to 500%. That is already remarkable. But add walking to your fast. A 2023 study published in Nature Aging tracked growth hormone levels in fasted walkers and found spikes of up to 1,200%, 1,200% above baseline. Your body, during a fasted morning walk, is producing growth hormone at a level that most people will never achieve through any other means short of pharmaceutical intervention. And you are doing it for free. You are doing it in 30 minutes. You are doing it by simply choosing to walk before breakfast. Your body is literally becoming a fat-burning, muscle-preserving, tissue-repairing machine. Not because you bought something, not because you followed some complicated protocol, because you gave your biology the exact conditions it was designed to thrive under. Now here is the part that genuinely surprised me when I first went deep into the research on this, because everything we have covered so far has been about your body, your metabolism, your fat stores, your hormones. But fasted walking does not stop at your waistline. It goes all the way up to your brain. And what it does there is nothing short of extraordinary. When you are fasting and walking simultaneously, your liver begins producing ketones. You may have heard this word in the context of ketogenic diets, but ketones are not a diet invention. They are a natural biological fuel source that your body has always been capable of producing. They are what your brain runs on when glucose is not available. And here is what makes ketones so remarkable as a brain fuel. Unlike glucose, which creates energy spikes and crashes, which fuels your brain in waves that leave you foggy and tired in the valleys between them, ketones provide smooth, sustained, consistent energy, stable, clean, reliable. It is like the difference between powering a precision instrument with a flickering, inconsistent electrical current and powering it with a perfectly regulated, steady supply. Your brain, running on ketones during a fasted walk, is not just fueled. It is optimally fueled in a way that most people have genuinely never experienced. A 2024 study from UCLA measured cognitive performance and mood in people who took fasted walks compared to non-walkers. The fasted walkers reported 73% better focus and 58% improved mood, not after weeks of adaptation, not after months of consistent practice, from a single fasted walk, because the biochemical shift happens that quickly once your body has access to the right conditions. But the brain benefits go even deeper. Fasted walking triggers a significant release of dopamine and serotonin, your brain's primary feel-good neurotransmitters, the same chemicals that antidepressant medications attempt to regulate pharmacologically. During a fasted walk, your brain is producing them naturally, in response to movement, in response to fasting, in response to the ketone availability that gives your prefrontal cortex the fuel it needs to operate at full capacity. This is why people who walk fasted in the morning describe the experience as mental fog, lifting in real time, not gradually, not after a week of adjustment, in real time during the walk itself. And then there is BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists have taken to calling it fertilizer for your brain, and the description is apt. BDNF strengthens the connections between neurons. It protects existing brain cells from damage and degradation, and perhaps most remarkably, it promotes neurogenesis, the growth of entirely new neurons in the adult brain, something science once believed was impossible after early development. Fasted walking has been shown to increase BDNF levels by up to 300%, and the implications of that are both immediate and long-term. Immediately, you think more clearly, you solve problems faster, your creativity opens up, you access a level of mental performance that feels almost unfamiliar if you have spent years running your brain on a diet of constant glucose availability and never giving it the conditions to shift into this higher gear. And long-term, a 2025 study from Cambridge University found that consistently elevated BDNF levels are directly and significantly linked to a reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline. You are not just making yourself sharper today. With every fasted morning walk, you are building structural protection around your brain for the decades ahead. You are investing in the long-term integrity of the most important organ in your body. You are doing neurological maintenance that no supplement can replicate and most people never think to prioritize. And here is something that almost nobody talks about when discussing the practical benefits of fasted walking. That 30 minutes of movement in a fasted state, with ketones fueling your prefrontal cortex and BDNF firing at elevated levels, becomes one of the most creatively productive windows of your entire day. Problems you have been stuck on for days get solved. Ideas that have been just out of reach suddenly crystallize. The mental noise that usually occupies your mornings quiets down, and in its place, a kind of clarity arrives that is genuinely difficult to describe to someone who has not experienced it. Your morning walk does not just change your body, it becomes your competitive advantage for everything else you do that day. Now let us talk about timing, because this is the piece of the fasted walking puzzle that most people never hear about, and it might be one of the most important variables in the entire equation. Your body operates on an internal biological clock called your circadian rhythm. This clock governs not just your sleep and wake cycles, but the efficiency of virtually every metabolic process in your body. Certain biological functions are dramatically more effective at certain times of day. And when it comes to fat burning, the morning wins decisively. A 2025 study from Johns Hopkins found that morning fasted walks align with a natural fat-burning window that your body enters as part of its circadian programming. Here is why. In the morning, cortisol, your natural wake-up hormone, is at its peak. In the right context and at the right level, cortisol is not the enemy. It is a mobilization signal. It tells your body to prepare for activity. It supports fat mobilization and energy availability. When you are fasted, when insulin is low, when glycogen stores are depleted from overnight, and when cortisol is naturally elevated, your body is in a state of peak readiness to burn fat. You are biologically primed for this window in a way you simply are not at any other time of day. Now add walking to that equation. Walking during this window, when cortisol is naturally elevated, does something elegant. It prevents cortisol from spiking too high, which would shift the hormonal environment into a stress response that promotes muscle breakdown rather than fat loss. It keeps cortisol in that productive zone, that sweet spot where it is high enough to support energy mobilization and fat burning, but not so high that it tips into a catabolic damaging range. The result is a smooth, sustained, controlled energy curve that carries you through the entire morning without a crash. If you walk in the afternoon or evening instead, you miss this window entirely. Your body has already worked through its glycogen. Cortisol is declining as your circadian rhythm moves toward rest. Your fat-burning hormonal environment is fundamentally different and fundamentally less favorable than what you have access to first thing in the morning. Timing is not just a detail. Timing is everything. And here is the evolutionary reason that this timing makes such perfect sense. For millions of years, long before agriculture, long before the concept of breakfast, human beings woke up and moved. Not because they wanted to exercise, because they had to. They hunted, they gathered, they covered miles of ground every single morning in a fasted state because food was not waiting for them on a kitchen counter. It was somewhere out there, and finding it required moving. Your DNA was shaped by that reality over hundreds of thousands of generations. The biological programming you carry right now was written under those conditions. When you wake up in the morning and go for a fasted walk, you are not doing something new. You are not following a trend. You are activating an ancient survival program that has been lying dormant under the weight of modern convenience. Your body recognizes these conditions. It responds to them at a deep cellular level because this is exactly what it was built for. Now, I want to be honest with you about something, because I think the people who give up on fasted walking do so because nobody prepared them for what the first few days actually feel like. The first few days might be hard. Your body has spent years, possibly decades, running on a constant supply of dietary glucose. It has not had to rely on fat burning as its primary fuel source in a long time. That adaptation, the shift from being primarily a sugar burner to a metabolically flexible fat burner, takes a few days. During that window, you might feel sluggish. You might feel heavier than usual. You might feel like your energy is lower than it was before you started. Scientists call this process developing metabolic flexibility, and it is completely normal. It is your body learning a new skill. It is your metabolism remembering something it forgot. But here is what is on the other side of that adjustment period, and this is not anecdotal. A 2024 study from MIT tracked participants who committed to daily fasted walks for 14 days. By the end of those 14 days, 89% of participants reported dramatically improved energy levels compared to before they started. 67% reported a significant reduction in food cravings. Their bodies had adapted. They had flipped their metabolic flexibility back on. And now, instead of running on a treadmill of constant eating and energy crashes, they were running on a biological system that had learned to access its own abundant reserves smoothly, efficiently, automatically. Their bodies had become fat-burning machines that operated on something close to autopilot. And that transition from the initial adjustment period to this new baseline of energy and clarity happened in just 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 14 days. That is all it takes for your body to fundamentally change how it manages energy, how it accesses fat, and how you feel every single morning when you wake up. So here is the challenge I'm leaving you with today. 30 minutes every morning, fasted. No music if you can manage it, no podcast, no distractions, just you and your body doing what it was designed to do. Give it 2 weeks, not 1 day, not 3 days, 2 full weeks. Let the adaptation complete. Let your metabolism make the full transition. And then pay attention to how different you feel compared to where you started. Pay attention to your energy in the morning. Pay attention to your mental clarity during the day. Pay attention to how your hunger behaves. Pay attention to how your body looks and feels after 2 weeks of giving it exactly the conditions it was always designed to thrive under. And then come back here and tell me what happened. Because I read every single comment on this channel. Everyone. And I want to hear your story. I want to know what changed for you. I want to know what surprised you. Drop a comment right now and tell me one thing. Are you going to try fasted walking this week? Have you already tried it? What was your experience? Your comment might be the thing that convinces someone else who is sitting on the fence to finally take the step that changes their health trajectory entirely. If this video gave you something, if it shifted your understanding, if it made you think differently about something as simple as a morning walk, then hit that like button right now. It is 1 second of your time, and it is the most powerful way you can support this channel and help this information reach the people who need it most. The algorithm responds to likes. More likes means more people discover this content. And this is the kind of content that genuinely changes how people live. Subscribe to this channel if you are not already here, because we go this deep into human biology every single week. We cover the science that does not make it into mainstream wellness conversations, the research that challenges what you think you know about your own body. And next week, we are going further into the science of metabolic flexibility and exactly how to train your body to access fat burning on demand, not just during fasted walks, but throughout your entire day. You do not want to miss that one. Your body has been waiting for you to give it the right conditions. The 30-minute walk you take tomorrow morning, before breakfast, before coffee, if you can manage it, before you give your body any signal that food is coming, that walk is the beginning of a biological transformation that most people will spend their entire lives searching for in supplement aisles and diet books without ever finding. The answer was always this simple. It was always this free. It was always this close. 30 minutes tomorrow morning. Go find out what your body has been waiting to show you. I will see you in the next one. Stay consistent, stay curious, and start walking.